We'll go live on Facebook. All right, we are live. Hello, hello. Hi, Lily. I'm so
Hi,
happy to
Julia.
be here with you. So, some of you guys may not know Lily. Lily is a dear friend and colleague, Lily Fanok. Do you want to introduce yourself before we dive in here?
Yes, for sure. Hi, everyone. I'm really glad and grateful to be here with all of you. Yeah, so what I do is I am an energy healer. So, similar to Julia, we both work in the energetics realm. I'm really focused on earth connection, spirit animals, connecting people back to themselves through powerful practices, most of them being with nature and the earth, and also with really in different energetic kind of techniques that I kind of weave into my experiences. And I do a lot of in person as well as virtual spaces for women for feminine energy. So that's that's what I do, and I'm so excited to be here and be collaborating with Julia on this amazing project and immersion experience that we have created for you guys.
Yeah, I'm so excited too. It's so cool. It's so cool how the universe connects us with people, So Lily and I happened to be on a call for a group program experience thing online that we were both doing. Um, and I remember you shared, that you were in Santa Fe, and I was like, do you want to meet up? You know, so we actually got together, and Lily was just traveling here in Santa Fe for a little bit, and we met at Apothecary, which is a spot that, we're actually thinking about having cater the second day of our event.
Mhm.
Um, and I could just feel immediately Lily's codes as a grid worker, and within like a lot of divine feminine sort of priestess lineages, like the coding that you have around that, and the um the fierce wisdom really beyond your years, that is just a multi-lifetime thing that I think really, really expresses in your depth of connection with nature. And we started talking about land and DNA and everything, and found out, of course, that our medicines are really complementary. And so, yeah, I mean, when we started talking about doing a retreat experience a little bit later on, I was like, hell yes, you know, because I think it's rare that you meet somebody with the type of coding that you have, Lily, and also that there's just such a harmonious synergy in frequency and in medicine and in what two people bring to the table. So I'm so excited not only about our event, but also about our conversation here today. And Lily's actually going to lead us through a little bit of an introductory, what would you call it? Meditation, activation, grounding.
Yeah, I think all of those words work, but we're going to focus on our connection with nature, and we're just going to kind of activate that today a little bit. So, if some of you already feel really connected to nature or Gaia, this will just be a deepening for you. But I just feel like for others, this might be a little bit more introductory. And so, we're going to kind of spark something today in this introduction. So, that's that's a little bit of the plan. Julia, do you want me to just kind of hop in or
Yeah, just jump in, and you guys can, you can listen along, but if you want to, really follow along and kind of dive in, this is just going to set the tone and, I think give you guys something special to sink your teeth into. But obviously, if you're driving or whatever,
yes.
don't.
Yes, please use your own discernment for those kinds of situations. But yeah, as Julia said, it's great if you can kind of take some space and just kind of connect with yourself. If you can, close the door, find a seat on the ground, something like that, or even if you're outside, that's even better. So just maybe just taking a moment to get kind of settled in. And I'll just share a little bit about, our upcoming immersion. A lot of what kind of sparked this desire for us was the beauty and power of the Santa Fe grids that Julia's experiencing living there full time now, and I was experiencing living there just for a couple of weeks. And so there's something really special about that land and about that place. And overall, Gaia's connection with us is everywhere we go, but specifically that area just really, I think, speaks to Julie and I.
Mhm.
And I know we'll speak to you in your own way as well. So that's one of the impetuses for this immersion. So we're just going to tap into that today a little bit and kind of connect ourselves to our deep individual connection with land and Gaia. So if you're in a comfortable space, you can kind of just close down the eyes and maybe just taking a deep breath in through the body and just offering just a moment of stillness. Just letting your body reorient, letting your nervous system reorient itself, reorganize itself. And just slowing ourselves down to the rhythm of nature, our bodies, the earth, just slowing everything down for a moment. And as you connect to yourself in this way, just sensing that kind of spark of coming home to yourself, even in that brief moment, just feeling maybe 10% more of connection to you. And maybe there's an emotional response that wants to happen, a little let down in your nervous system, just letting that emotion roll through, feeling safe on this planet. And we're just going to plant that seed of safety that Mother Earth, that Gaia, that nature offers us. We're going to plant that seed of safety in our bodies, in our sacral and root chakras, but mostly our sacral chakra. We're going to plant that seed of safety, knowing that Gaia, Mother Earth, is continuously offering that peace, that holding, that grounding, that connection. Thinking of when we are little babies or even in the womb, when we're reaching for that support, for that comfort, for that connection from a parent. We're also going to plant that seed of safety, that strong attachment, secure attachment to Gaia in this moment, to the earth. another figure in our psyche, in our energy, in our bodies that registers as safe to our nervous systems, as supportive to ourselves, as a strong, secure attachment. Just sensing some of you energetically kind of pushing your feet into the earth, pushing your feet into the earth almost like it's sand, and just feeling that somatic feeling, that nurturance. And just sensing that everyone who's listening has just kind of dropped down a level, feeling more grounded. This might feel different, maybe like something you're not quite used to. That's okay. Just imagining wiggling your feet into that sandy earth, feeling that somatic pleasure, that feeling, and taking a deep breath in here and a big release out. And now, from where you are, wherever you are on this earth, grounded, safe in your body, I want you to imagine that you are taking another little seed, and in your mind's eye, this seed is going to travel from your hand all the way to Santa Fe. I want you to imagine that you're throwing this little seed to the Santa Fe grids. You're maintaining connection with this seed or other object that speaks to you. It's almost like a little tiny piece of your consciousness is able to tap into that grid, that earth, that land. And some of you feeling very at home here. And I want you to just sense what this land might have for you, whether or not you choose to travel there physically. Maybe it's just a feeling or a visual. This is grid working, intentional grid working. You can take just a moment to explore. Some of you might be drawn to the rivers, to the land, to the trees, to the sand, the desert, to the birds, to the springs. And now just thanking Santa Fe Thanking Santa Fe areas for this little glimpse, for this little exchange, this little insight, this little opening. And I want you to imagine that this seed or other object of your choosing is coming back to you, bringing back that little piece of your consciousness all the way back into your body, into the space that you are in, on the land that you're at, fully anchored once again into your home grid. And maybe just feeling where that little insight, that little piece sits within you. An exciting little insight or energy that you connected with today. Go ahead and take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Calling all of your own energy back into your body, into your space. Ensuring your own little bubble of energy is fully illuminated, grounded. And when you're ready, you can blink open the eyes and you can come back to the call.
So beautiful and magical. Thank you, Lily. And
Yeah.
those of you who are on the live, I just want to say hi. Hopefully, you were able to join us for that little experience. I see Ra is here, Billy, Noemi. If you guys want to share anything about what your experience was like in the comments, please do. Or if anybody's watching the replay and you want to share what came up for you, please do. Um, One of the things that's been coming up for me lately, Lily, is just how much it is available for people to tap into the consciousness of land or tap into um, a certain, you know, beings who live on the animal consciousnesses, you know, the consciousness of the mountains, the whatever, like how available that is actually, and how um, so many people just actually don't realize that they can do it.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't, they just, it's like they just don't have the, um, you know, the invitation, the space. They don't necessarily trust what they might get when they connect like that. But every time, each and every time that I'm leading someone through, similarly to how you were leading us here, to just like, well, can you connect? You know, can you connect in? Like, what do you feel? What do you sense? What are you getting? There's always, and it'll always come through differently for people, but there's always so much that's available there. um, why do you think it is that people don't tap in so much? Most people.
I I was actually, yeah, as you were talking to about this, I was like just feeling what my answer would be to that.
Uh-huh.
Um, and how I really think about it is that the wildness is challenging for people at this point, kind of, I think, in like the evolutionary consciousness of where we are, right? Like we live in houses, and
Mhm.
we are just overall so much less connected to wild land, wild animals, just the wild feminine that is nature.
Mhm.
And I do think it's like it's similar to developing a psychic connection with a group of beings. There's like a level of like safety and trust that has to be established.
Yeah.
And if there's a resistance or a fear that can be, a block, really. And I don't really like to say like blocks, like we have to like untangle everything. It's more so it's just doesn't seem as available,
Yeah.
and that just comes, I think, with time. But also, that was really why I felt called to developing that safety piece with nature
Yes.
because I get a lot of feedback when people see me in nature and hiking and like I just have a lot of ease. That it can be unsettling or it feels unsafe, to for certain people to, observe me like taking a hike by myself, like those
Mm,
kinds of things. And of course, like this
interesting.
is a wild planet. Of course, there are things that we need to be aware of when we are in nature,
Mm,
but to feel innately like, we're only safe inside, I think is a really, I mean, that's a huge opportunity, I
mm.
would say, for
Love the
change.
way you worded that. But yeah, I mean, it's true. It's interesting for me, like I've often had this conversation with Ra, my partner, actually, that I tend to feel less safe in a home sometimes because that's where a lot of the worst things happened for me in my life. And like, I feel really actually more safe when I'm like out and about in the world in some ways, which is interesting. I think it's different for a lot of different people, but for him, growing up in more of a city environment, and for a lot of people who grew up more in a city environment or just didn't have as much exposure to the natural wilds, they may have more or less resistance. The other thing that came up for me as we were going through that process was, I mean, just that mother wound, because from my perspective, like, we are all cells in the body of Gaia. Like that connection. And I was seeing it like, like when you're developing inside your mother's womb, which all of us have gone through, all of us have had this experience. You're not separate, but you also kind of are,
Mhm,
but it's like there's not really a separation.
mhm,
Um, that's
mhm,
how I see us and the planet, our bodies and the planet, our DNA and the DNA of the planet. It's like there's this really intense symbiosis, right? But that lack of connection, that I feel like so many of us experience on a day-to-day basis, and it's almost all we've ever known. I think that reflects for a lot of us in our relationship with our mothers, and that can go down the line through ancestry. And then I just feel all of us, whether we identify as women or not, whether we're more feminine or more masculine in our coding or what have you, are suffering from that lack of connection with the Divine Mother.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, it's a very physical malnourishment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, a
Um,
physical malnourishment. And I just wonder how many issues would be solved for humanity if that wasn't the case. Like if we had that nourishment
mhm,
from the true feminine as Gaia.
mhm.
Whew.
Yeah, and I think that it's a leap for some people because we have to embrace that wildness to
Yeah,
really be able to connect, and we have to embrace that wildness within too, so it's like
absolutely.
it is kind of a jump for people, I think, and it takes some practice and time. But I really feel that mother connection. I mean, Gaia is so many things to us. One of my mentors just really connects with Gaia as a sister. I think she can
Hmm.
be like every archetype for us, especially the
Hmm.
divine feminine in general. But kind
Yes.
of getting to your point, Julia, everyone has these soul contracts. Every single person has a soul contract with Gaia. So
Yeah.
it's like we have soul contracts with people, with, places, and that's all unique to us, but
Yes.
every single person has a soul contract with Gaia. And I think that's big.
Yeah. Yeah, that's powerful. And it's so interesting to me the way that you're describing this is like, we could have a contract to experience her in a number of different ways, and
Yeah.
because some people will probably connect more with that wild, almost like harsh, like intent, because obviously she's that way, just like the feminine is that way. I mean, tidal waves and hurricanes and friggin' volcanoes, like this is also Gaia,
Mhm.
barren deserts and all of these things. I
Yeah.
think for me, ugh, I'm getting a lot of chills, but for me, because they're like, I'm getting this information for myself right now, but
Yeah.
it's good. I'm glad I'm getting it. But for me, it's like, because my relationship with my own mother was so challenging, and because that's something that I really have needed to heal in this lifetime, and it's important for me to do that in order to do what I came here to do. um, she has been that mother for me. And any land where I have felt really connected, like especially the ocean, but there's always um, that nourishment of the Divine Mother that I can connect to almost anywhere that I go. And of course, I can feel into and tap into all kinds of different frequencies and consciousnesses. And, here in the desert, it's quite different. But still, everywhere that I go, that's kind of the relationship that feels most prominent for me.
Wow. Mm. I
Yeah.
can really, I feel so much emotion for that.
Oh,
Like for you. Yeah. I
thank you.
love
Now you
that.
make me cry.
I'm really feeling it. And
I've
truly,
needed it. You know what I mean? It's like I've really needed. When I was living out in Bandit, and I shared a lot with my people on here, as I was going through my move here to Santa Fe about this, but it was hard because that you're talking about that attachment and that connection. The land where I was out in Bandon and the ocean out there, like it really did heal so much for me. It really healed so much for me. I really felt like I got that experience of like mothering in that relationship,
mm, yeah.
that was so powerful. And of course, this land was calling me, and I felt like, it was the contract was complete and I had to move on. But um, yeah, that was the healing that was available, and it's still there for me. It's still absolutely there for me. It's just a little bit different anywhere that I go.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I'm curious how you've been feeling that connection with Santa Fe, like now that you're a little bit more anchored there. Obviously, you haven't been there for too long, but what has your connection been like with the Earth and Gaia,
Oh my
in this
gosh.
new space?
I mean, it's crazy. So it's different. It's very different, you
Yeah.
know. I do have lifetimes on this land, like on similar lands, not this exact location where I am now, but or in this area. So
Hmm.
there are activations that are kind of specific to that. There is a lot more activity here, at least for me, in the way that I experience it. Like, um, many different layers of activity that are kind of constantly occurring. So, but let me see where I kind of want to start with that question. It's such a good question. I mean, the energy overall feels to me more like a grandmother, I think, than a mother in a
Okay.
lot of ways. There's a deep strength, and
Hmm.
it's a
Yeah.
strength. Like it is,
Yeah.
you
Hmm.
felt it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And there's that element of resiliency that I think, you can feel a lot of places in the desert.
Yeah.
This was something Raw connected with a lot when we were first out here, and he kept telling me to connect with the plants specifically because the way that they get their nutrition and like the way that they're able to sustain themselves like year round, there's really something to learn from that
Mhm.
around resilience. They
Wow.
can sustain themselves in a variety of climates throughout the year. Many of the plants here, and ones that would be really unfavorable for other plant life. So that's huge. But it's like I also I think we have some probably variances in the ways that we connect or what we see or feel or sense. Maybe sometimes I see a lot of and feel a lot of like um, history, and
Yeah.
also different, yeah, so like different events. And there's a lot of really intense stuff that's happened out here.
Mhm.
And also galactic influences, which is not necessarily fully connected to the land, but it also is when
Yeah.
you're looking at the grids. So it's an Arcturian portal out here. So it's just, again, it's a lot of activity.
Hey, that makes sense because I'm very connected to them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
haven't talked about this before?
No,
Interesting.
we haven't.
Okay.
Who
Yeah, it's
knew?
an Arcturian
Um,
portal.
okay. Yeah. Okay, this is so interesting because my experience of Santa Fe parallels in some ways. So I was um just very called there for like a grid working
Hmm.
purpose. And a lot of times when I'm called places, it's not like, oh, go here for this. It's just go here. So,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
but hey, we know what it was for in some ways.
Now we know.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have met otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, I felt when you were speaking that strength is
Yeah.
so true. And in fact, something that I was feeling in that Santa Fe kind of like around with the cathedral as kind of like an epicenter for
Mm-hmm.
grid. It was like everything coming in and out of that cathedral, like that's a very central part in my intuitive knowing of it.
Yeah.
Um, but I was just feeling so much Mars energy, like so much um, yeah, like power, strength,
Power. Yes.
movement, but like very, very,
Fire.
yes, like fire, but in a very like powerful way, not in like a little fires everywhere, but like a vortex, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And just like a very but all encompassed by like this very yes like grandmother energy of Mother Earth, like all of that kind of like held by her, which is why
Mm-hmm.
I felt like, well, number one, I felt like it was such a transformational place for an
Right.
immersion, because
Yeah.
people are really, I think, when I go to retreats or when I sign up for things, I want an experience that feels different than anything I've experienced before. I am an experimenter at heart. And
Mm.
so um I live for experiences. And so when I felt that, like the power of that, I was like, okay, this just being here alone, and you've said this too, Juliet, like just being there alone shifts so much.
Oh
Um,
God, yeah.
yeah, not to mention having our leadership alongside you. So
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of my experience of that place and why I felt, also what you said about the history, like the cultural aspects,
Yeah.
the shamanic connection. I've never felt anywhere that was so not that not that it was like to the seeing eye, but like just the felt sense, the intuitive sense of like indigenous practice, like so connected to the land. Um, so that was kind of my experience with Santa Fe and
Mm-hmm.
why I was so
Mm-hmm.
enamored, like, with it. And every place is so special, but it's just interesting seeing these kinds of characteristics, signatures of places, like every place holds different things, different codes for you. I believe.
Absolutely. A wealth, a wealth.
Mhm.
I had like something going in my membership a couple years ago, I remember, and Rabbit Shift Collective, if we want to bring this back, you totally can. But a couple years ago, people started asking about places that they were from, and I had people in my
Mhm.
membership from kind of all over the world, like Germany, and somebody else was like Albania, all these different places. And
Well,
so I kind of did, I mean, I kind of went like similar to how we all went to Santa Fe just now. And then I was giving like readings of what I was seeing, but it was one of my favorite things because I mean, I love connecting with it's not just like there's the land, right? But then there's also all of the culture, all of the history, all of the land beings and the elementals and the frequencies contained within different bodies of water and the churches and what happened there and the, like the ancestral stuff that people are still carrying on the land and all of these different layers, and just exploring that for me is like one of my favorite things to do. And I can't always travel, but hopefully you guys could see in that process as well that like you can travel, and
Mhm.
you can start to begin to feel into some of these places and the unique, very, very unique architecture, energetically and physically, that every location on our planet has.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely traveled right there. I
Mm.
felt so different coming back to my body, and I'd be interested to hear if any of you felt anything specific that you want to share in the
Yeah.
comments. One thing that I did sense from whoever was tuning in, it felt like maybe a female, um, and maybe more than one. It was just this sense of real familiarity with
Mm.
grid, whether that be current life, past life, like somewhere where they're like, oh yeah, like this is home,
It
you know what I
wasn't
mean?
me, was it?
I don't think so, because I
Okay.
feel like I was tuning more into the group outside of us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I'd be interested to hear if anyone, yeah, just really loves this place or felt kind of like that experience from the home.
Yeah, everybody's been quiet so far. Could also be watching the replay because,
Oh yeah,
we're quantum here. We're all
right.
quantum here. But it was interesting for me because obviously I'm here,
Yeah.
but I felt everybody come in.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, welcome. Welcome to
Yeah.
my home. Come.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took me a while to anchor here, I will say. I think that, like you said, everybody has different contracts with the land, but Santa Fe is one of those places because it is such a vortex, almost like, there's places in Hawaii that people say this about, like, is it Maui? I feel like it's Maui that I'm thinking
Okay.
of, which I've never
Mhm.
been, believe it or not. Other places, Sedona, other places where it's just there's a lot of activity and it's a lot going on and it's a really powerful vortex. Some people think about it like the land testing you. I don't love thinking about it that way, but I'm curious your perspective on that. Do you think that land like tests people? How do you see that?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
I don't think so because
Okay.
I don't see the universe that way. But I know that
Yeah.
many
That's how I
people
feel too.
do,
Yeah.
like many people are like, oh, like I'm going through a test, and I don't that doesn't resonate for me. I think because I gravitate towards feeling like the universe, the earth, my guides are all just kind of like unconditionally loving to me, that
Mm.
feels better on my system. I feel like I'm already the type of person pretty hard on myself. And I just
Yeah.
feel like the universe is not gonna intentionally test me. But I do like it doesn't, I don't think that it has the mindset of like, oh, let's throw her a curveball and see what happens. You know what I mean? Like I don't feel that way.
Or prove that she can handle it or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't I'm really similar to you. I kind of see it that way. But what I do feel is that certain places require you to hold a certain energy to stay
totally.
there,
Yes,
It's
yes,
more
yes.
like that.
Yeah, and it's like I just see it as an activation,
Right.
That's what it feels like to me. It's just like, oh my gosh, whoa, and I've never been to a place where I'm like just totally overwhelmed and can't function. You know what I mean? Like I've never been, but I've definitely been to places that I'm like, wow, there's a lot more energy here, and I'm recalibrating and I'm getting activated to that, and
Mm-hmm.
there can be a recalibration period. For sure, for sure. But you know, I think that that's you're called when you're ready too, like that
Yeah.
there's all the timing components as well. Like I
Mm.
actually felt like I wanted to compare Sedona to Santa Fe if someone's wondering about that. Because Sedona I know is, kind of close-ish, to
Yeah.
Santa Fe area. And
Yeah. It's not
it's
far.
probably one of those places that if you're, doing any kind of like retreat or like soul searching, that could be like a big thing to pop up for people. And what I just wanted to say about the difference between these two is that for me, like Sedona is like a higher, I don't know why I'm like hearing it. It's basically like Sedona feels like a higher pitch.
Oh,
Santa Fe
totally. It's
is a
less
low,
grounded, is how I experience it. Like
totally.
Santa Fe, I experience, like New Mexico in general, as soon as you cross, like when we were driving out here and we crossed the state lines basically from Arizona into here, because it was just like swirling vortexes everywhere in Arizona, but especially Sedona, because I've been there as well. And then you
Yeah.
come into New Mexico and it's still quite electric,
Mhm.
but it's like rooted.
Right, right. So I do want to share that in case, some people are feeling like, oh, Sedona was a lot for me. Sedona's a lot for a lot of
Oh, yeah, no,
people.
it's not Sedona. It's different.
It's not. Like
Sedona's a lot for everybody.
it might look, similar. Like we have the desert landscape, um, but Sedona has a very unique, every place is unique, and I think Sedona can be it's more challenging for me to calibrate there than it
Mm,
is me in Santa Fe. Like for me in Santa
mm,
Fe, it's like, wow, this is a lot of energy, but I feel good here. In
hmm.
Sedona, I definitely learned to feel good there over time. But it is a higher pitch.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll
it's a
just,
higher pitch.
yeah,
That's a good way to put it.
yeah, yeah.
That's a good way to put
So
it for
even
sure.
though it's a desert space, it could be a very different experience for you if you've already been to places like, Arizona
Oh
or
yeah.
Sedona.
Well, and you can cross city lines or even within the same city, you can have a completely different energy. Like this is the other
Totally.
thing to be aware of. But I
Mhm.
think what's so important to me with this conversation, and I think with the work that you're doing, Lily, is like empowering people to feel and trust their own bodies and what they are receiving from certain locations. And there can be all kinds of different reasons why you might be receiving certain input from your system around a location. Like there can be, I think, um, just non-resonance, just lack of resonance, and there could be all kinds of things that other things that you're picking up. But I think that connection is so like for me, I don't understand really necessarily how people can't feel it as intensely as I do, but I know there's actually just so many people who don't necessarily feel these shifts.
Yeah. It's
Um, and again, I think a lot of that is just because they haven't been trained to focus on that or to understand that that's what it is.
mhm.
Like if you've ever been on a road trip and then all of a sudden you're driving through a town and you feel agitated and upset and you get in a fight with your partner, like I mean it could be the terrain you're driving through,
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I mean,
but
there's
people don't
always
think about
like,
this.
yeah, there's always like interrelating factors, you know what I mean? And I think like,
Hmm.
the influence of the actual land is always like overlooked. Like, I think,
Exactly, as a really important ingredient.
yeah. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. I was, um, I was like, the Banff was coming up for me as you were talking because I took a road trip there last year. And Banff, Canada is like something that I was really feeling in that space was like it is just such a generator. Like like I was
Mm.
literally seeing like a generator like in the mountains. Like it just generates like energy. So like, every
Yeah.
single place that you go, whatever your kind of like intuition or clairs are, Julia does a lot of work with the clairs and like helping you open different clairs and understand your clairs. You can always rely on them. But also like your connection with Gaia as that continues to grow and strengthen, it's mostly in the body.
Yeah, yeah. When you're talking about Earth specifically, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. Exactly. Yes. So I think that, the disembodiment, which in my opinion is also, it's the same as our disconnection from the feminine, is like this disembodiment.
Yeah.
Um, but that disembodiment is really what leads to a lot of this disconnect where people can't necessarily, and I always tell people, for me, you know, a lot of people have psychic abilities that they almost kind of escape the body into. That's like a common story, with people who grow up with a lot of trauma or whatever, they're not safe, and then they just like go talk to their spirit guides and they're like whoop, like just pop out of their body in that way. I mean, I spent a lot of my life very dissociated, but the truth is, for me, I also had my gifts shut down when I was in that type of a space. And for me personally, the more that I landed in my body, the more somatic work that I did, the more of that work that I did, the more intuitive I became, and the more the other abilities started to pop back on. Was it the same for you?
That's a really,
Yeah.
really important. I feel like that really is gonna, someone needs to hear that
Yeah.
because that just, I just got full body chills as you said that. This is not like, it's not like a one-way street. You know what I mean? Like
Mm,
we can't just go, and that's like the whole like a lot of the spiritual space is just focused on going upward. You know what I
yeah.
mean? But like that is not actual like the feminine way. It's
Yeah.
that's masculine way actually. Um, which
Yeah,
is,
that's why everybody's so imbalanced, because they don't have enough
yeah.
descent,
Yeah,
mostly.
it's both,
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, I would say similar to you, a lot of disconnection from my body, like late teens, early 20s, that type of
Mm,
thing. Even I'm still um coming home to my body, I think in deeper, deeper ways, but more so now than I ever have been in my life. I've always had just a very deep connection with nature. Even in those kind of like disassociated states, whether I tried to like actively foster that, like I never tried to, but I never felt like
mm,
it like shut off for me.
mm,
Because it just feels like for my like specific self, it just feels like it is me.
mm,
Like I am like just so intricately connected with Gaia, even if I wasn't connecting with her for a long time. But what I will say is in terms of like actually feeling like those feelings of like fulfillment and feeling good and like yes, feeling intuitive, feeling like I know myself, like the
mm,
trusting myself, like all of that came as I got into my body, you
mm-hmm,
know?
mm-hmm.
And so similar to you in that way, because I feel like that has kind of like been my path of coming home to myself, trusting myself. And a lot of that has been through my body, like my
Yeah.
body kind of going through a health crisis and me learning how to heal myself in a very practical way. And then
Mm,
realizing, okay, like my nervous system is just not in like a supportive place right now, and
mm,
learning
mm.
all of these practices to connect with my nervous system. And then ultimately at the end of that, realizing that my practices with nature were the things that were healing my body the most. Like
Yes. I mean, look at
laying,
that.
yeah, like laying on the ground on my back,
Mm,
just like forest bathing. I was like, what is happening? I started to, it's like that connection with her, like I always had, but then I was like, wait, how do I like this is actually like healing my body, and I never thought that that connection could actually heal me. I always kind of just thought like, oh, I
mm,
just have this is just like what home feels like, but there is a very healing physical, mental, energetic component to the earth, the frequency of the earth, to nature, to a
yes.
connection with those elements, and to animals. There's
Mm,
something very healing on a cellular level to that.
absolutely. Absolutely. It's so interesting. I was channeling a response to a question that somebody had asked in my membership earlier this morning, and it was about the inner earth beings.
Ooh.
And so, kind of a different track than talking about the wild feminine necessarily, um, but a lot of what was kind of brought forward is like the technology that is the most beneficial and important for humanity to heal our bodies, heal our lifestyles, heal our planet, heal the way we relate to one another, and really the foundations of our society that are diseased are like the most simple, and they're all available in the natural world. That was kind of like
Wow.
what was coming through. And I think it's I know I've heard some people say, and I don't teach on health a lot. I'm not an expert in that department, but I have heard a lot of people say that, you know, um, healing happens naturally when the right conditions are given to the body to heal, right? And I think the conditions that so many of us are living in terms of the level of disconnection that we have with just, I mean, sunlight and just the earth itself, and quality water to drink, and quality, like, food to eat. Like, these are very, very, very basic things, but I mean, it's likely that a lot of conditions could be, at the very least, like, very greatly helped
Yeah,
by just incorporating these very, very simple elements. Would you agree with
yeah,
that?
I totally agree with that. And I think a lot of it comes down to like frequency and energy because I mean, a lot of what healed my body was energy, like
Yeah.
high frequencies, drenching myself in them, whether they be from the earth or
Mm,
trusted energetic practitioners, you know what I mean? Like I needed a kind of a variety, but one of the biggest sources for me was the earth frequencies. I've actually seen people, I don't know if it's indigenous communities, but they used to kind of like dig, if someone was really, really sick, they would dig like a big hole and they would just place the person in it for like a day.
mm.
And it
I
was
feel like
like,
I need that.
dude,
My
yeah,
body's like, yes,
yeah,
we
like
like this.
that was I just had this like, I need this, you know, and a
Mm,
lot of my path has been kind of understanding what this kind of like insatiable, like need like physically, you know what I mean? And
mm,
that's I feel like why it's so easy for me to speak into the malnourishment that comes
mm.
from the lack of connection from the earth because it is like a malnourishment, you know, and the
Yeah,
body can't relax when it's not nourished, you know, and so
yeah.
it's kind of this inability to fully relax. And that is it's a deep survival need
Mm,
um, and it's very hard to get out of survival tendencies, survival types of feelings when you aren't able to get that sustenance that your body really craves. And a
yeah.
lot of you listening, if you're working with Julia, like you have light bodies that are very sensitive, intricate,
Mm, mm-hmm.
advanced, one could say, you know what I mean, awake, you know, energetically sensitive. So these are things that I think as a community in this space, we need to be thinking about, you
Yeah.
know, a little bit more.
Absolutely. I love the way you describe that. And I love the way you describe that hunger. Like, there's a code in
Yeah.
there for me that I'm really going to be sitting with. I think that's so beautiful and so powerful to share that from your own experience.
Thank you.
So thank you. You guys, there's plenty more where this came from. We didn't even get the chance to talk about animals. We might go live again. Please feel free to share in the comments again, like, anything that stuck out for you from this conversation, and anything that you might like us to share more about if we do go live again. We might go live on Instagram next time. We got to talk about it, but uh, really enjoying like having these conversations with you. And yeah, I'm just knowing that it's going to be so supportive for whoever's listening. There's going to be some people who've had some light bulbs from this conversation, I'm sure. But of course, I want to invite all of you who identify as women. Um, the fellas, it's gonna have to be another retreat. But all of you who identify as women, I really want to invite you out to the desert, like to come for real, to come physically and get nourished by this land and also by us, by some very delicious local food. I'm really excited about the menu. I think I'm hungry right now too, but really excited about the menu and some really, really uh powerful experiences we're going to guide you through, right? To connect with the land, to connect with nature, connecting you with your power animals, um, activating your voice, connecting you deeper with your body, and also just having a lot of really wild and free fun in nature, doing a hot tub, like hanging out. It's going to be a blast. It's going to be so transformational. It's going to be a blast. So it's 2 days. Um, May 16th and 17th. The first time I linked the sales page, the time was wrong. So please note May 16th and 17th. So we cover everything for those 2 days, but you are gonna need to find probably, a place to sleep Friday, Saturday. Um, and maybe even Sunday night if you want to get out Monday morning. But what makes that kind of cool is that you then get to really decide on the experience that you want in terms of where you're staying, and you can make it more affordable for yourself if you want, and you can just stay in a hotel, or you could travel with your family and stay in a nice Airbnb and make a whole week of it, or get a luxury spot. Like, it's totally up to you, but this enabled us to keep cost relatively low to give you a really, really, really quality immersive experience. So yeah, if you feel called, answer the call. There's always a reason.
Yes, totally. Thanks for sharing all that, Julia,
Yeah.
and thank you for having me today on your Facebook page. This was an amazing conversation. Loved having this with you.
Thank you for being here with me. I always love connecting with you. I always love talking with you and receiving your codes, and also just feeling like the field that we drop into together, because that
Yeah.
feels always quite powerful. The first time we got on a call together and we were like talking about this retreat, we were just kind of both like, whoa. We were like, what is this? That's
Yeah.
how you know it's really aligned.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I hope to see you guys in Santa Fe. If you have any questions, you can also message Lily or myself, right? And we'll be happy to chat with you about it. Anything else, Lily, before we sign off for now?
I don't think so. Excited to see you guys that feel called to Santa Fe, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah. Talk to you guys soon. Thank you so much. All right. I think I have to end it. Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.